Serata tajba lil kulħadd, nistudnukom għal programm ieħor ta' MOTORSMT fejn lejla għandna magħna il-Mr. Brian Taylor, okay? Good evening, Brian.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. How things? Everything is okay?
Good, everything good, thank you.
Good. So, as you assume, we're here on the program to discuss, obviously, about the Taylor family, which has produced a champion and another young guy who is getting well along in the karting as well. My first question will be, obviously, how did Brian and his family turned up in Malta?
Yeah, good question. The shorter answer is we wanted a family adventure. Being in Canada, growing up in Canada, 4 kids, little at the time, we sold our company, and there was a window of opportunity to have a different life experience with the family before the kids got too big. So we looked on the map, we came up with our list of what would be something they would like to experience, and Malta checked all those boxes. So in 2017, we came over for a quick trip, learned a little bit about the country, learned a little bit about the schooling, fell in love with what we saw and felt, and decided to make a move here. So originally it was going to be for 2 years, and the 2 years went by in a flash. The kids said, can we stay, can we stay? And so we set up permanent residency here, and we've been here now almost to the day, 8 years now. So it's been a great adventure. It's spawned a lot of really cool things with the boys and with our girls.
Obviously, as a Maltese citizen, it's a pride for us, for me, and it's an honor that such a nice family coming from Canada and spotted Malta as the best island or the best country where you should settle and obviously progress with the intentions of motorsport and other ventures.
Yep.
So, how do you find Malta after all these years living in Malta?
Great. We wouldn't, there isn't anywhere else that we've ever talked about in the last 8 years to move to. And we definitely have the flexibility to do that. And within our family, it's just never even been a topic. It's most comfortable. We spend over half the year outside of Malta with Nicholas and with Zachary with the motorsports. The coming back to Malta always feels like we're coming home. I always feel most relaxed and most comfortable when we're coming back to Malta. Something about landing on the runway and the door opens. It's special. It's different from anywhere else that we travel.
So, as you are aware, we met a couple of times in some treks over in Italy and even traveling back to Malta. And obviously, it was always an interest to see the upbringing of your both sons in motorsport. I remember that about 6 years ago, one of obviously the elder son, Nicholas, started karting in Malta, and it was obviously something a person coming from Canada introduced himself in karting in Malta. How did it all start? Why did you you chose karting first of all?
So interesting. So when we were in Canada, I raced on and off in karting for about 10 years. And I say on and off because I started a business, started a family, priorities kept shifting, and so I was in karting and out of karting myself for a lot of years in Canada. So I've always had a passion for motorsport. When we were here in Malta, motorsport wasn't really even on our radar for the activities that we were looking to pursue. Nicholas actually came to me in late 2020, early 2021, when the karting track opened in How Far. Yep. And he said, hey, Dad, can we go down and have a look? Just go check it out. So I was like, hey, sure, let's go check out like European racing. This will be cool. And so we did. We hung around the track all day. We didn't know anybody, obviously. It was new for everybody there. It was a new opportunity for all the families that were there. We didn't know anybody. We struck up conversation with a few. With a couple people, the conversation carried on to an opportunity for Nick to get in a go-kart and give it a try here at the new track. So that kind of started the whole snowball. Zach at the time, so this would have been in 2021, he just said, no, I'm not interested, until he saw Nick on track. And then that kind of kicked his fire off. So it really was the opportunity that Nick brought to me, that there was a track that got the ball rolling with both the boys.
Okay. As a parent, how do you see your son racing, and obviously how do you amalgamate racing with school and obviously his future?
Sure.
Because as you are aware, I mean, motorsport is a short period of time, and obviously one has to think about the future. How do you consider that as a part of the future of your son?
Yeah, for sure. So when Nick had the opportunity to race in Italy, which came very quickly after he first started racing in Malta. I think Nick maybe did 2 races in Malta, and then there was an opportunity for him to go race in Italy. We went up there, and he did very well very quickly, and so more opportunities started to open up. I said to my wife at the time, okay, we have to make a decision now. This is going to be a lifestyle sport for our family, and if we're going to do it properly, we have to all get behind it. If anybody can't, then we really have to sit down as a family and say, okay, how do we really see this? And so all of us got behind it. All of us got behind Nick at the time and said, okay, let's go. The travel is extensive. The costs are extensive, but the whole family was behind Nick. So that was kind of how it started. Then it evolved into the schooling. We were lucky, if anything good came out of COVID, the infrastructure with the schooling got really good. The online school, the virtual
it was
schooling,
actually perfect.
There was a silver lining. Yeah, if there was anything good, it was really the schooling infrastructure was fantastic, and it kind of built out the opportunity for Nick to study away from being in the physical school. The teachers, the staff at QSI here in Malta, they very supportive of him being outside the classroom but continuing to do the schoolwork. So there were many weekends we were at the track. Nick would go out, do a session, come in. There might be 2-hour break before he's out again, and he would work on school at the time. So very complicated, but a ton of discipline required to do that. So the schooling is a big thing. And you talk about the future. We I guess for me, we're so all in with the sport right now. Nick is all in with the sport. He's having great success in the sport. So him and kind of a vision and a focus for him is to build a career in the sport. As a driver at some level, as somebody at some level in motorsport is where his career will be. So that's his focus. That's his goal. We're supporting that 100%, and he is, achieving things much faster than we thought was even possible. So I think for him anyway, having potential to build a career in motorsport is a real reality at this level now, at this point, kind of where he's at.
Yes, as you said in the beginning, I mean, I do remember, yes, obviously, I'm always at Harfar, and I do remember Nick starting his career here in Malta, and all of a sudden, we did not see Nick anymore, and then we heard that he was competing in Italy. And as you are aware, I mean, Maltese drivers and families and people, we are very friendly, so everybody was following Nick's results. And I do remember from the beginning that Nick was getting the best results possible, okay? Yeah. And for us, a driver, obviously competing in Malta, and it was a great honor for us to see these results. Where do you see Nick in the next few years? Obviously, after the success that he had, 2024, couple of successes actually, not one. Where do you see Nick with all the hard work and sponsors? Because we know it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy to there are other Maltese drivers with their parents putting all their output in the sport, and we all discuss it's not an easy task.
No.
But where do you see Nick in the near future, 2025, 26?
Yeah, so we're in 2025 now. We're already working on 2026. 2025 will just happen. It's all set, ready to go. Nick's racing the European Championship and the Italian Championship in the touring cars. The 2025, once we get kind of into the season, the 2026 plans will start to lock down, both with sponsors and with teams. Possibly new opportunities will start to surface. So, I mean, for us right now, it's a lot of networking. It's a lot of discussions behind the scenes. Nick goes and does what he needs to do, what he does best, drive a race car fast. And what I'm doing in behind the scenes is working on building the next opportunities for 2026, and even 2027 is being talked about now. So, for Nick in the next couple of years, I don't know. I mean, he could continue in the touring car scene for sure. I mean, he's absolutely dominating there right now. There's potential to move to the GT3 level, so World Endurance Championship, GT3 stuff. So that's being talked about. Where it lands, I don't know. We have to see, and the key is the continual discussions with sponsors, the continual discussions with teams, and looking for the next best opportunity to move him into. And really what it comes down to is if he's not continuing to grow in the category that he's racing in, it's time to move to the next one. And so that's always something that we're really conscious of. Nick and I talk a lot, an awful lot. Communication is paramount with this stuff. And so really trying to decide when to move and then where to move is the big question. And it becomes clear as the seasons move on, kind of when that has to happen. Nick gets a sense, I can see it from the outside. And then we're working so that when we have to pull that lever, there's a place for him to land. So, yeah, complicated.
So today I had the opportunity to speak to Nicholas' father and team manager as well.
I'm wearing that hat more and more, the team manager hat. It's again, if you go back 3 years when this whole thing started, it was the furthest thing from what I was thinking about having to do. I was the chaperone. I was just making sure the boys were getting to the track. They had food. They had a place to eat, and they were racing. Now it's a business, and the business is complex. But I don't have any training in it at all. I'm learning along the way as much as I can, talking to a lot of people. The networking is key. Because some of the biggest opportunities Nicholas has had have come from the most obscure places. We don't even know that many people, but it's the conversations that we have with the few people that we have had connect or able to connect with that have become gold for us. Yeah, I remember 3 years ago driving in Italy, learning how to drive in Italy, and thinking like, what are we doing? We don't know anybody. We don't know the language. We don't know where this is going. It's costing us a ton of time and money. Like, what is this all about? Every year that goes by now, it becomes clearer and clearer. So when you say, where do you see Nick? I just see him continuing to progress. He's not tapped out with his talent yet. And there's a lot of runway left to explore. So yeah.
Brian, it was really nice talking to you. I'm a proud father, obviously. This is how the parents should be. I am sure that a lot of the Maltese parents with the go-karts especially, the parents give out their hearts for their children. We'll have another time, obviously, to speak to the other younger brother, Zachary. Okay, and thank you very much, and we hope that we will see you again.
Yeah, thank you, Tonio. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much. Inħallu ftit il-programma hawnhekk ngħaddu għar-riklami meta nerġgħu lura għandna diskussjoni oħra mat-tifel ta' Brian Taylor. Lura għal-programm insellmu l-telespettaturi kollha ta' dan il-programm MOTORSMT. Magħna issa għat-tieni parti tal-programm għandna lil Nicholas Taylor. Good evening, Nicholas.
Good
How's
evening,
things?
Antonio. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Super, super. Thanks for coming to this program. I am sure that you are in a lot of calendar dates regarding racing. So it was the real spot that we had to discuss with you about your past in motorsport, your present, and obviously your future.
Yeah, yeah.
So as we all know, Nicholas, you started karting. So basically, the karting is the footstep of every driver, as we all know, even in Formula One, that karting is the most important print that you should sit in a kart and start moving. And obviously, that will give a clear picture of your character, of the driver's character, and obviously of the ambitions. So how did it all start in karting?
Yeah, so for me, like starting in karting, of course, I have a little brief past in Canada, but starting in Malta, 15 years old, yeah, it gave me a chance to understand the sport, understand sort of what I'm getting into and all these sort of things. And as time goes on, you know, you start to understand a lot more of the technical parts of driving a kart and just building the skill and sort of seeing how it goes. And then, yeah, with a couple of years, I was to say 1 year in Malta, we learned pretty quickly that we were looking for bigger opportunities to sort of expand my skill. And we looked to Italy and we just sort of exploded there and we started to see a lot of success. And I really fell in love with the sport properly when I started in Malta, and I knew that I could see myself in the future doing this for quite a long time.
Super. I do remember your first days in Malta, because
Yeah.
obviously my involvement in karting goes much more back from when the trek started. And we all know that as soon as you started karting in Malta, it showed that you are going to be a progressive and a future driver. How do you compare the driving the trek in Malta with other treks in Italy, for example? We all know that the local trek is very technical and it's a very good trek because all foreigners and people who drive in Malta, they all say that the trek in Malta is very technical and the surface is very good. How do you compare it, Nicholas?
Yeah, so I do agree. Like for me, I'll be honest, I was never fast in Malta. I was never able to compete with the local guys. Sure, I was there maybe with them, but I never got to the front. So there is definitely a lot of technical aspect with the track here compared to the ones in Italy, where I have found a lot of success. But definitely, I think it was a strong training ground to sort of throw me into the deep end, because it didn't provide me with such an easy start. So it kind of forced me to learn how to drive a go-kart really quickly and adapt to what I was working with, because I started kind of at a disadvantage being 15 years old, where a lot of the locals had started when they were 8 years old, 7 years old. So for me, that was a huge challenge, but I'm quite happy that that was the case because it just forced me to catch up to my competition. So when I started going to Italy, where it's a high level of competition, I was sort of already there with the guys.
So your experience in Malta gave you a big boost to join the Italian challenge. Because
Yeah, for
obviously,
sure.
as we all know, I mean, a lot of the drivers in Malta go to Italy to have experience there, and we all know that the level there is quite high, especially when you go to tracks like Lonato, Franciacorta. These tracks are very competitive, and obviously a team is very important, that you will have a team with you, and people obviously who will guide you. So the first years in Italy, how did you adapt yourself to the Italian culture? Obviously, your language was obviously another challenge to understand what the people in the team want from you. How did you adapt? How did you adapt for that?
Yeah, so for me it was quite overwhelming, to be honest, because already being in Malta with such a competitive field was quite a lot to get used to. And so when we started going to Italy, I think maybe only 6 months, 7 months after I started in Malta, it was another huge step up. Like the tracks were a bit bigger, the competition was higher, like there was a lot more drivers all around, and the infrastructure around all the teams was a huge step up. So for me, it was quite overwhelming. And then, of course, not knowing the language and not really having many connections was like we were just thrown straight away into the deep end, and we had nothing to grab onto. But we were fortunate to have some good connections from Malta to point us to in Italy, and we just sort of stuck with them through the whole karting career in Italy, and it forced us to grow and work and build with them. And for me, I picked up the Italian language over those 3 years just by being in the environment. But yeah, definitely it was not easy. It was quite intense emotionally and physically, but with time and being consistent and disciplined with sticking to that course, it started to become natural towards the second and third year.
Okay. So after 3 years in karting, you decided to make a huge step ahead.
Yeah.
And move to TCR.
Yeah.
How do you compare the sacrifice that you had to do in karting with the sacrifice to a monster engine?
Yeah.
How can you explain that? I mean, it involves a lot of training, mental training, physical training, diet. Give us a bit of a brief of stepping from a kart, because I am sure that a lot of Maltese drivers, young drivers, one day will have the opportunity to do this. As we all know, all drivers going to abroad, they make success immediately, as you did. You drove in Malta, because karting in Malta is on a quite high level. But obviously then we have to adapt ourselves to tracks, larger tracks, which fortunately in a couple of months we will have a track of 1.2 kilometers, which is very good for Malta. And that will maybe see back like yourself and your brother, you know, coming back to Malta, and maybe we'll have a lot of Italian drivers or foreign drivers coming to Italy, where we exchange our races, and obviously that will boost the local talent. How did you manage to cope with such a huge step from karting to TCR, where obviously the speed is much more different and obviously a more powerful car? Yeah,
so for me it was a huge step, and in fact when I had the opportunity to race in TCR, I almost dismissed it because I was scared, to be honest, because it's a powerful car. At the time I was only 17 years old, or just turned 18, so for me I was still relatively a young guy, and to be going from 50 horsepower to 350 horsepower, it was a big step. So for me it was just a lot of mental preparation and training, and then of course being in the gym, physical training, and on the simulator, which played a huge role in my development. I was in the sim, living in it practically all the time. Whenever I'm not on the racetrack and I found downtime in Malta, I was always on the simulator, because it was what I needed to do just to sort of get prepared to like know what I'm supposed to expect when I step into the car for real. But yeah, for me it was definitely a scary step, but once I started to just get consistent with the training and find something comfortable to continue with, it was feeling good. And then once I got to the first race in the car, I thought I was ready and physically prepped, but I was completely exhausted, and I totally underestimated it, because I came from karting, which people think is the most intense form of motorsport, but if you're not conditioned or prepped properly with your body and mind, it's draining, it's exhausting. So after my very first race, I said, okay, I need to take it 110% serious in the gym every day, no days off, and I need to be just preparing my body and training all the time to keep up with this car.
It was nice meeting you.
Yes, you as well,
I
Tony.
hope that you will have more success in the future, 2025.
Yes.
And your projects for 25 and 26. And I am sure that next time we'll meet you and your family again here on this program.
Yes.
It was an honor for me interviewing you. Thank you very much for coming, and hope that you will have a lot of more success.
Thank you very much.
You.
Appreciate it.
Naslu fit-tmiem tal-programm, nirringrazzjawkom tal-li kontu magħna, sakemm nerġgħu nintaqgħu insellmukom għal programm ieħor. Grazzi.